So we had big news in the boxing world yesterday with the announcement, the long-anticipated wait for some, Mayweather and Pacquiao Part 2, over a decade since the first fight. May 2nd, 2015 was the first fight, the fight of a century, of course. We finally get Part 2, again, well over a decade afterwards. It'll be on September 19th at the Sphere in Las Vegas, exclusively on Netflix. And this is one that I am, years ago, I would have been excited. And before I get into everything, I am a casual fan. I'm not in depth with boxing. I don't know the ins and outs. I don't want to sound like I know I'm in depth of it or a veteran in terms of the sport as opposed to other sports I've watched a ton over my lifetime. So I'm still relatively new to the boxing world. So again, put that out there as well as a casual take for this one. Years ago, this would have been exciting. Maybe if there was a rematch 2-3 years after the fight, so would it be like 2017, 2018, if that came up, where Pacquiao could recover after having that, of course, that bad injury before the fight, which certainly led to controversy with that fight going into it, as well as just how it went. Certainly, a lot of people felt that they were robbed watching it, and so you look at the money that was made there. Yeah, you do kind of feel like it was justified for people feeling that way. So if this was a fight that was 2-3 years after the first fight, I think a lot of people would be excited with this. This is no other than, saying the obvious here, this is a cash grab for Mayweather. What these guys have seen, and maybe I'll throw Pacquiao out too. Again, don't know ins and outs with these guys. So I know Mayweather, with, of course, the financial standpoint. People always talk about money being broke and so forth. Always trying to go after money, similar to people kind of paint as Mike Tyson to it, that as well, needing money, being broke and so forth. Again, just kind of playing off of what people always joke around with those two. So I'm not going to really put that instance on Pacquiao as well. Again, don't know too much about him outside of boxing, the few fights that I've seen him as for the personal one. So I don't want to say he's hurting for money as well, jokingly. But for these two guys, it just sounds like a cash grab, where these guys, more so Mayweather, look at what Netflix has done with boxing, which for myself, maybe some people view it as a harm to it. I appreciate that boxing is on there. It makes it, for myself at least, easier watching it, the sport, and whether the fights are good or not. Again, just being able to watch boxing and get more experience in it, watching and trying to understand the sport in general. I do appreciate that. Just my thoughts on there as well. But what you've seen, especially with Jake Paul and what he's done with that and the money he's earned with that, it's no question. This is just a cash cow. This is a cash grab that they think there are a lot of people are going to run to this and watch it. And I'm sure they'll get tons of viewers for this one. And unfortunately, it's moments like this. I'll throw in Jake Paul, obviously, culprit number one. Tyson and Mayweather are ruining the sport. Again, outside perspective for this one. So I'd love to hear people's thoughts on people who are very passionate about watching boxing and their thoughts about it. To me, an outside perspective, this is ruining the sport. It makes it, when I see matchups like this, or fights, I should say, as a joke of a sport. It does, especially with Jake Paul getting in there. People want to praise him, saying he's growing the sport, especially early on when he first kind of started doing this. Even on sports shows, I think Skip Bayless was culprit number one. I should tell you already about that. Giving praise about him, thinking he can go to the top, thinking he can contend with the top boxers. And even me, not knowing that much about boxing, knows that Jake Paul's not a real fighter. And what he's doing for the sport, yes, is it entertaining? Does it get the viewership? Does it make the money? Of course, he has a niche. And he's doing a good job for it. Give credit. He's great at marketing. He's great at getting eyes on the fights and making a ton of money. And unfortunately, that has led to a bad path. Not saying that it hasn't happened before Jake Paul, but certainly has gotten much worse with them there too. And now again, when you see the Tyson-Jake Paul fight, which was horrible, you can point to any Jake Paul fight, outside maybe the Joshua fight for that one. But any said Jake Paul fight, utter joke. And for this one, this is, again, an utter joke for this one, for both these guys being damn near 50 years old at this point here. What is there to expect, really? And if you will say Mayweather unretired for this one, I think we probably know who's going to win this one. No surprise here. I think Mayweather is going to win it. I doubt. To me, point, it feels like staged, really. And we could say that for a ton of the Netflix fights thus far. The one that was really exciting was Canelo and Terrence Crawford, which I watched. That was an entertaining boxing match to watch. Outside of that one, they've been jokes with Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, and so forth. The Anthony Joshua Jake Paul fight was exciting to see, where he gets crushed with that punch there, breaking his jaw. I'm sure all of us got excited watching that there as well, getting knocked down in that one. But for the most part, again, it's been another joke of what's happened with boxing for this one. And it gives the sport a bad reputation when you have clowns like that set things like this up. Again, what do we really expect between two, again, almost 50-year-old boxers at this point here? And it's really just the name. It's a star power. That's all it is that you're banking on for this one. Again, I have no doubt that it's going to make make a ton of money. It's going to get a lot of viewership on there, especially beyond Netflix now. Don't have to pay for pay-per-view, or technically we got to pay for Netflix if you want to call it that. But still, being able to watch on Netflix is only more of an easier outlet for people to watch it on if they already have it on, or already have the app, of course, which I'm sure tons and tons of people, what the exact amount is, but it's going to be a lot higher than what the previous first fight was in this one. And again, you look at over here for the viewership here, out of the three was Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. Why? It's two marquee names. Was it going to be a good matchup going into it? Probably not. Was it staged? Probably was to begin with. But it got a lot of eyes on there because of the marketing, how Jake Paul is, how Tyson is, just brings, again, the cachet, the name itself there carries a lot of weight for both these guys. Unfortunately for the Jake Paul side, if you hate him, but certainly carries a lot of weight on his side. And you saw what happened there. Both those guys made a ton of money, got 108 million viewers on there. When you look at Canelo and Crawford, 41 million views for this one. And then as well as for Joshua and Jake Paul, 33 million. So there's no question for me, unfortunately, that this Pacquiao Mayweather fight will certainly jump those two, the Anthony Joshua Jake Paul fight and the Canelo Crawford fight, and maybe dare I say even jump the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight. Probably will, because again the names carry a ton of weight. These are two legends of the sport. Even being a casual, know these guys absolutely. I know these two. Legends of the sport there, of course, in Mayweather with his undefeated record, 50-0, unretiring now, like I said. And before this, he has, I think, a fight in April with Mike Tyson. Like I say, again, the big three culprits, Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, and Floyd Mayweather now. But again, Floyd Mayweather is seeing the opportunity. He's seeing the money that these guys are making, and it's easy money. It is. People are gonna be suckers. Probably myself as well. When it happens on September 19th, I'm be checking in to see how it is. I'm gonna be a sucker. Gonna get my viewership. I should say, get my view on the fight, like a ton of us, and make a ton of money. So going back to the first one here for part one, where the earnings for this one, we're kind of doing some quick research here. Mayweather earned $250 million in the first fight. Pacquiao got $130 million. The total of the whole event made $600 million. It was 4.6 million pay-per-view buys for that one as well. Got a ton of money. It was hyped up. Fight of the century. These were guys, just on the age of 40 years old at that point there, but very hyped up. And unfortunately, again, that was a huge letdown in that one. I remember watching that 11 years ago, which is scary to say at this point. That time flew that fast for this fight. But again, for this one, I don't know if anyone's really excited for this. I'm sure maybe fans of, of course, Mayweather and Pacquiao are going to be jumping in their seats. I'm sure maybe in the sports world, it's already being hyped up for this one, at least right now. Talked about a little bit. Certainly, as we get closer to the fight, it'll be ramped up even more. But again, I look at this as an utter joke. And that's what it should be. That's what we should all take it as. It is pure entertainment. This is nothing to be taken seriously. As, again, you've seen the views here. Besides, of course, Canelo and Crawford, not adding in there as well. Even for Joshua, even though he gave the fans what they wanted, knocked out Jake Paul, broke his jaw in this one. I say knockout, but knocked him down, at least not total knockout in this one, but certainly broke his jaw. Gave us a huge spectacle in that one, even though he did win that fight. Again, it just when anything Jake Paul is involved in, you already have to kind of take it with a grain of salt in this one, whether it's staged or not, however it's going to be with this one. And again, unfortunately, it's just leading down the wrong path of what the boxing world is coming down to. And for a casual take, like I keep saying myself, unfortunately, watching Netflix, that is my big portion of my boxing experience is Jake Paul for this one and Mike Tyson a couple times. And it sucks to say that because I'm sure again, going back to the Crawford and Canelo fight, that was really entertaining. I don't know too much about them at all. Again, I'm not going to pretend I know the sport at all, the players' ins and outs. But it was a very entertaining because it was two legitimate boxers fighting as opposed to YouTubers, entertainers, and people way past their prime. And unfortunately, this is the path that boxing is going towards. It's getting a lot of viewership, but it's ruining the reputation of it. No one's really taking this seriously when Netflix is showing a type of fight like this. Hopefully, it changes direction and it goes until we get better, marquee, actual, great in their prime boxers fighting. But even not even including this one, for a second, again, Mayweather for Pacquiao, even going back to what I said a second ago with the exhibition match between Tyson and Mayweather. I mean, at this point, what are we doing? Again, we all know the reason why. Money, of course, for these guys. But what are we really doing at this point here? To me, I think it just ruins the reputation for these guys. It ruins their legacy. Being stooping this low to to go in exhibition matches like this, or fighting now at this point here at 50 years old. I mean, it should be all well past them and well done in their lives, and they should be on to something else in their career or their next life after boxing. So when I look at this, it just to me it's an utter joke. Even with me being hypocritical at this point, you can call me out on it. Yes, I will be probably tuning into this and seeing how it plays out, and probably making a video afterwards about criticizing it and saying everything that I'm saying in this video right now. That it's gonna be an utter joke. It's probably gonna be staged, and that it's going to be the outcome you probably expect to be. Where Mayweather's not going to lose. They're not gonna do. They're gonna do whatever it takes to not ruin that 50-0 record. Because that is the big talking point. If he loses that, what is the big talking point? If you want to argue the greatest boxers of all time, whether it's Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, whoever you want to throw in there. Certainly, I'm not going to, I don't know where he ranks in terms of Floyd Mayweather, in terms of the amount of people who call him the greatest boxer of all time. But certainly, when I hear some people say that, they go to the undefeated record. What happens if he loses? It gets taken away, and you kind of fade away into that conversation, out of that conversation. So, again, I mean, 50-1 is still very impressive, and certainly one of the best, if not the best, defensive boxers that has been stepped in the ring, of course. So there certainly is still that's still argument there, but the big talking point is being undefeated, and if it's taken away, it does take a little bit of that shine away from the resume. So that's why I look at it as, to me, this is already going to be staged to begin with. Floyd Mayweather is probably going to win this fight. They're both going to walk away happy with tons of money in this one. Again, they're probably going to surpass all three of these ratings for this one. I no question about that at all, and they'll make a ton of money in the process there. I don't know. Will it get to $600 million in total, like it was for the first fight? I don't know. Unfortunately, I apologize. I didn't go and look back at the Jake Paul, Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight to see how much I made. No question, they made tons of money in that one too, more than they should have. But is it going to get to the point here, like the part one, the first matchup, the fight of the century? Probably not. They'll make a ton of money, of course, but not to that extent here. And again, unfortunately, it sucks that more for the diehard fans that you guys had to wait 11 years for this fight to happen. This should have been a fight a couple of years or 2 or 3 years at most after the first fight for this to happen. The fact that we had to wait, or essentially you guys had to wait 11 years for this to happen, where both these guys are almost 50 years old. To me, I think it's just an utter joke. It ruins the sport. It ruins the reputation of how I look at it, how I perceive it as a casual fan, outside perspective. To me, it just tarnishes it. And it's going to happen even more and more again with Jake Paul and whoever wants to step in the ring as a YouTuber or content creator who wants to fight now. Again, to me, it just we got to take it as is. It's more entertainment than it is, unfortunately, how boxing should be in the history of it. So, again, we'll check it out. Once again, myself and tons of other people will be checking this out on September 19th, live again, exclusively on Netflix. And we'll have our whole talking points after the fight of how I feel about it. I have a feeling that, trying to put it out there as well, trying to get ahead of the curve, that it's going to probably be similar to this rant of what I'm making as for this video months and months prior to this matchup. So it'll probably be the same way after the fight when I make this video for the recap, but we'll see how it is there for you guys. When we get closer, hopefully it's the fight that you expect. If you are truly intrigued and you truly are on the edge of your seat waiting for this, hopefully it's everything that you ask for. So we'll see how it is leading up to that. Hopefully there is no, again, injuries prior to the matchup for this one. So there's, again, more controversy added to the part two of this fight. So we'll see how it gives, how the marketing, everything is as we get closer along, and how the fight progresses as we get closer to, again, September 19th for the matchup at Las Vegas.